The mirror was already in the apartment when I moved in. Oval-shaped, framed in dark wood with a thin crack near the edge that curved like a half-smile. I didn't like it, but I didn't remove it. It was screwed into the wall above the sink in the bedroom, and the landlord had warned me not to damage anything if I wanted my deposit back. So I let it stay. For the first few days, it worked like any mirror, plain, quiet, forgettable. Then, around the fourth night, I noticed something strange. I got up at 3 a.m. to grab water, passed the mirror without looking, but felt something. A delay, like the air in front of the glass had thickened. The next night, I looked at it directly. At 3:33, I couldn't sleep. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared. At first, nothing. My face looked tired, pale, ordinary, but then I blinked and the reflection didn't. Just for a moment. A single half-second, but it was enough. The next night, I tested it. I stood in front of the mirror at 3:30, watched myself breathe, raised my hand. It followed, tilted my head. Same. Then, at 3:33, the light in the reflection dimmed. Not the room, just the version of the room inside the mirror. My reflection slowed, lagged, then stopped. And I was no longer looking at myself. I was looking at the room behind me. But it wasn't my room. It was similar, almost identical, but not quite. The wallpaper had a pattern I didn't remember. The lamp was on the wrong side, and in the middle of it all, someone was standing, not facing me, not moving, just there, wearing what I was wearing, standing where I should have been, but still, I waved my hand. Nothing, I blinked, nothing. It wasn't me, not anymore. At 3:34, the reflection snapped back. My face returned mid-blink, out of sync. The room looked normal. My hands were shaking. I stepped away. Didn't sleep. The next day, I checked the mirror at every hour. It behaved. At 1 p.m., at 6 p.m., even at 2:50 a.m. But when 3:33 arrived, it faltered. The surface dulled. My image faded. And again, I saw the other room. The other me, just standing. And this time, the figure turned just slightly. Head tilting toward me. Not all the way. Not yet, but enough. I closed my eyes, counted to 30, opened them. The mirror was blank, not shattered, not black, just blank, like a screen waiting to load. Then, slowly, it returned. My room, my face, but something about my eyes didn't feel like mine anymore. They looked back too deeply, like they had seen something I hadn't. Or maybe something I had just chosen to forget. The next night, I didn't hesitate. I sat on the bed, phone turned face down. No distractions, no sound, just the soft creak of the building around me, and the steady hum of time ticking toward the minute that no longer felt like mine. At 3:30, I stood up, walked slowly to the mirror. I kept my hand at my side. I wanted to watch first. I wanted to be sure. At 3:32, the glass looked normal. My face, my eyes, The faint flicker of the hallway light behind me, but as the minute clicked over 3:33, I saw it shift. The surface blurred, not like fog, but like water. The frame seemed to lean in, as if the mirror itself was trying to close the distance, and my reflection faded, not into black, but into another space. Again, it was the room, that near-identical room, and again the figure, me, but not me standing, waiting. This time, the version of me was already looking forward. Eyes level, still, and I don't know why I did it. Maybe because I had to. Maybe because it had been waiting for me to. But I raised my hand, slowly, opened my palm, reached toward the glass. My fingers didn't meet cool surface. They met warmth, a breath, the sensation of skin just behind something paper thin. I froze. And on the other side, the other me moved. Slowly. Fingers matching mine, not quite aligned. The hands touched, not hard, just enough to know it wasn't reflection anymore. It was contact. The room behind the glass darkened. Not the mirror, the room in it. As if lights were being turned off one by one. The figure leaned closer, our foreheads almost touching through that invisible barrier. And then it smiled, just slightly. The kind of smile you make when you see an old friend arrive too late to stop something. I tried to speak. Nothing came out. The mirror didn't fog, didn't hum. It just held us there, me and the version of me that had clearly been through something longer, sadder, maybe more honest. I felt the edge of a word forming in my mind, a name I hadn't said in years, and the instant it surfaced, the glass turned cold, the figure backed away, and my reflection returned, out of breath, out of sync. I stumbled back. The room looked the same, but the mirror didn't. There were now fingerprints, not mine, smaller, softer, as if someone had touched the inside of the glass long before I arrived. That night, I didn't sleep. I turned the mirror to the wall. But even then, at 3:33, I felt the shift. Like something was pressing from the other side, not asking to come out, not asking to switch, just reminding me that it had waited long enough for me to see it. And now, it knew I had. It started small. The mirror began to move ahead of me. At first, I thought it was a trick of the eye, a flicker, a lag. But then I'd see things, just barely, happen in the glass before they happened in the room. A curtain shifting before the draft came. A door closing before I heard the latch. My own hand raising before I even meant to move. I tested it. I turned on a lamp. In the room, the light clicked on. But in the mirror, it was already glowing. Just a fraction of a second. But that sliver grew. One night, I poured a glass of water. And in the mirror, I saw myself spill it before the glass had even tipped. 2 seconds later, I fumbled and dropped it. Same angle, same motion. It wasn't a reflection anymore. It was a preview, a delay, but not in reverse. It showed what was about to happen, sometimes seconds, sometimes minutes. And only after 3:33. Before that, it was a mirror. After that, it became something else. I stopped touching it, stopped testing it, but I couldn't stop watching. Some part of me wanted to know what it knew. Maybe it would show me something important, something I could stop, something I could fix. But that's not what it gave me. One night, I looked in and saw nothing. Not a blank wall, not black, just emptiness. Then, slowly, a room formed. Not mine, but familiar. Faint blue walls, a white door slightly ajar, a photo frame tipped on its side. I knew that place. I had dreamed about it when I was younger. A room that didn't exist in my waking life, but lived quietly in the back of my mind. The door opened. A figure stepped in. It looked like me, but not now. Older, worn. And then another followed, a child holding their hand. No words, no sound, just a glance toward the mirror. Then darkness. The image vanished. I stood frozen. I didn't know what I had just seen. A memory, a possibility, or something the mirror wanted me to want. That morning, I wrote down every detail. The wallpaper, the position of the lamp, the way the child's hand held mine like it had always belonged there. And for the rest of the day, I walked like I was waiting for that future to arrive. But it didn't. Nothing changed. And that night, when 3:33 returned, so did the mirror. And so did the room. But this time, the photo frame was shattered. The door was closed. The child was gone. And the other me looked older, tired. Alone, I reached for the glass, whispered, "Why are you showing me this?" And for the first time, my voice echoed, but not back at me, inside the mirror, like it had been caught in that version of the room. And somewhere in that stillness, a voice answered, not as sound, but as shape. Letters scrawled across the mirror's inside edge, fogging into view. 6 words. Because you'll choose it anyway. Again. Then it faded, and the mirror returned to normal. But now, I no longer trusted anything I saw in it, even when it showed my own face. Because I no longer knew if that reflection was following me or leading. I thought I could stop it, that if I ignored it long enough, covered it, avoided 3:33, forced myself to sleep early or stare at the floor, the mirror would forget me. That maybe it needed my attention, my permission. But I was wrong. It didn't want to be watched. It wanted to remember. And once it had remembered me, it no longer needed my cooperation. The final night, I didn't check the time. I had unplugged every clock in the apartment, turned off my phone, even took the batteries out of my watch. But still, I knew the moment when the shift arrived. The air lost weight. Not colder, just thinner. Like time had exhaled and decided not to breathe back in. I stood in the kitchen, trying to distract myself. But I felt the pull, not from the mirror, from something behind my ribs. A tightening that said, "Now." I walked to the room. The mirror was uncovered. I don't remember doing that. But there it was, clean, still, waiting. I stood in front of it. Nothing moved. I raised my hand. My reflection didn't. It stared at me, The me in the mirror stood completely still, arms at its sides, head tilted slightly, the way I always tilt when I'm trying to remember someone's name. I said nothing. I didn't need to, because this time the reflection moved first. It raised its hand, slowly, deliberately, pressed its palm against the glass. I didn't move. I felt warmth radiate outward through the mirror into me. Then cold, sharp and sudden, like a line had been drawn across my spine. And then I saw it. The background behind the other me began to change. It became this room, my room. Every object in place, every shadow where it should be. And I understood. I wasn't looking into a possibility. I was looking into a replacement. The me in the mirror smiled, but not kindly, not cruelly, just patiently, like someone who's waited a long time to clock back in. I tried to step away, but my legs didn't move. I looked down. My feet were no longer on the floor. They were on something darker, glossier, like glass. I looked up. My hands were moving, but not on my command. They were mimicking, copying, but not from this side, from the other. The other me stepped forward, through the mirror. No sound, no shatter, just presence. Like stepping through a memory, I saw myself walk away. Blink once, stretch, breathe. I slammed my palms against the inside of the glass, but no sound came out. The new me didn't turn back, just picked up the phone, scrolled through my messages, smiled, and in the last moment before the mirror turned black, I saw my own face, now on the wrong side of the world, look up and whisper through lips I could no longer feel. You always belonged here more than I did. And then I was alone, inside, not in a room, not in a reflection, just in the silence of glass, staring outward, watching someone else live the life I thought was mine. And now, every night at 3:33, I wait, not to escape, not to scream, just to be seen. And maybe someday, someone else will come close enough, long enough, to give me back the space I never meant to leave.